Let's dive into this boosting your sales team's close rate without more sales training. Now, there's other videos I have on this channel for sales training, but before we go into this doc here, just know this won't be your typical sales training. Watch this with the mindset of a sales manager or business owner, right? I'm sure you have plenty of sales training already. There's other factors most won't tell you about when it comes to sales training because, believe it or not, most of these sales trainers have never actually ran a sales team. They just close deals for a couple months. They realize there's more money in coaching and they start doing that. But anyways, not to talk bad about them. So where it all comes together, you've invested in killer marketing, whether you're a business owner or if you're a sales agency, one of your clients is invested in killer marketing. Your creatives are sharp, landing pages are optimized, VSL is converting, sales process is dialed in. But here's the truth: none of it matters if you can't close the deal. Meaning all the effort you put into lead gen, nurturing, engagement, education, it's all wasted if it doesn't translate into sales, right? The thing is, all the effort you put into optimizing every system you might have or every process you might have means nothing. And I want to emphasize this, especially if your closers aren't qualified or they're not equally focused and equipped to turn those efforts into actual sales. Closing is where it all comes together. And without skilled closers or without yourself, if you're a business owner being a skilled closer, even the best marketing will fall flat. So, data versus inspiration. I want to break down something here. Now, I'm very big on making, we talk about the triple D, data driven decisions as a sales agency as well as a business owner. And sometimes I'll tell my sales reps that too. Excuse me. To look at their own data and see where their own personal bottlenecks are, right? This obviously requires to have some sales tracking systems in place that your sales team has access to as well. So, I'll tell them to look at their close rate, offer rate, set rate for setters, how many people they're talking to, cash collected, etc. Whichever metrics you might be tracking for your business. I have a separate KPI tracking video on my channel if you're not sure whether you're tracking all the right metrics or not, but I don't want to get into that in this video. I want to be very clear on something. A salesperson or your sales team is the only person in your company that cannot perform if not inspired. Okay, no matter how good your data is, your sales teams needs inspiration. And you as their leader needs to give them that inspiration on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. And let's get into like the importance of a high performance culture, right? Number one, vision is key. Uninspired salespeople will not sell. They don't sell, no matter what their commission structure, no matter what bonuses you put in front of them for the last week of their month so they can hit that extra number. If they're not inspired by you, your service or product that you offer, or your plan with them involved for the future, they will not sell to the best of their abilities, period. I don't care what sales training they've gone through. Number two, celebration is key. You have to be sharing wins. Okay. One key move is to share wins from your clients. And this is if you're a business owner, you have a community, Slack, Discord, anywhere where you have communication with your clients and they share their wins. Share that with your sales team on a daily basis. Let the sales team actually see the results of the offer or their service they're actually selling for you and what kind of results that offer is producing for your clients on a regular basis. And this will just skyrocket their conviction in you and your offer, which again skyrockets their inspiration to continue selling, right? And then your meetings, your daily meetings that you have with your sales team should have a high sense of alertness and energy. If people are just nodding away and, this is something you have to feel, not something I can teach you off a Google Doc. You have to be able to feel it. Like if someone is just showing up and just going through the motions, you have to, maybe not there, you don't criticize in public, but have a separate conversation with that sales rep. Like what's going on, maybe something in their personal life, whatever it might be, but talk to your sales team. The commission structure should excite your salespeople. Nearly all A-player salespeople, once they feel inspired, they are very monetarily driven, given that you've, again, checked off the inspiration box. Rewards based on significance. In most cases, significance is a higher driver than money, especially for top A players. So acknowledge them anytime they close a deal, anytime they get a funding application together, or whatever it might be. Acknowledge them. Tie the work they're doing for you to ultimately what it means for you and the company. Recognize your best people, recognize them weekly, you give them awards, give them bonuses. Something that's worked very well for me is instead of giving them an extra bonus of $500, I will send them a physical item to their house or to their address, regardless where they're at in the world. And I've seen this across many sales teams. It just builds a so much better connection than if they were just to get a $500 or $1,000 bonus. And the gift that you can give them, it could be the same monetary amount, right? You can send them an iPad, a camera, something they can use for themselves, a laptop, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be ridiculously expensive. A wine bottle, cigar box, anything. But it just builds that level of connection that they will not forget because chances are they haven't gotten that at any other offer. So make sure you have leaderboards as well that everyone can see. You need to have that competitiveness has to be there between your team. And now let's talk about results as well. The only thing that matters is points on the board, on that leaderboard, right? At the end of the day, a salesperson and salespeople's sole purpose is to drive revenue to your business, or if you're a sales agency, to your client's business every single day. You need to set a certain standards. You need to set certain standards for them, and then to aim for daily, weekly, and monthly. Now, I want to distinguish between standards and goals. They are not the same thing. Goals are what your salespeople should be striving for, should be aiming for on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Standards are the fucking floor. That's the bare minimum required by any single sales rep. So that is your standard. For example, minimum $300 a day for your outbound phone setters, minimum 5 calls a day for your closers, whatever it might be. Those are standards. If you have another, not a red flag, but another sign of mediocrity I've seen across salespeople, if they're just meeting the standards on a regular basis and never do they go above and beyond, then they're just there for a check and they don't really see themselves long term. So just don't be surprised when that salesperson decides to up and leave because they might be shopping around other offers. Missing their numbers should motivate them. So you have to instill a high degree of behavior to results awareness in your salespeople. Where are you numbers wise this year, this quarter, this month, this week? Are you on pace this week, this month, this quarter, this year to hit that, whatever your annual target is? If you are, what are you doing that's working? Let's do more of that. If you aren't, what are you doing that's not working? Let's avoid that, right? So you got to have these conversations. Where do you need help? What support do you need? What questions do you have? We'll cover more on this later, but it's critical for accuracy. You're looking for proactivity with a certain sense of urgency. Those are the ones you want to retain, especially if they're not hitting the numbers. All right. Another thing is always remember the only purpose of your salespeople is to drive business revenue. Um, I see too many business owners. They bog down their salespeople with tasks other than selling, which I want to get into as well because that's usually not the best thing to do. Forgetting that the only person your salespeople is to drive new business revenue is a huge culture mistake. The only two things salespeople should be doing: generating sales calls, taking them. That's it. Everything else should be minimum 5-10% of their time. Bogging down your salespeople with unnecessary admin, structure, process, projects, fastest way to run them into a rut. So 10% of their time should be minimal, essential admin activities, right? That are absolutely necessary. Follow-ups, updating the CRM with notes on prospects and how the calls went, the EOD reports, or whatever else admin work your salespeople are required to do daily. But that should be 10%. Keep them out of operations and fulfillment, obviously. Now, there's few exceptions where you can take your top A player if you're just starting to build your A team, your sales team. You can take your A player, turn them into a sales lead, something like that. Then you can see it, or they can be maybe a sales coach on your offer, depending on the type of offer you have. But yeah, other than those few exceptions, keep them out. And then also ensure you have regular one-on-one performance reviews with salespeople, not just to track numbers, but to identify challenges and provide tailored solutions for that specific Sales rep. Constructive feedback paired with actionable advice can reignite motivation and inspire them again. Another thing is I think you should always invest in ongoing training for your salespeople, including skill refinement, objection handling, personal development, continuous learning opportunities, keep them sharp and motivated. Now, if you're someone who's good at sales, you can do this. You don't have to hire an external entity. You can do this. If you have a process that's working, you're closing at 30, 40, 50%, train your salespeople, have regular sales training meetings, right? So you don't have to hire anyone external. Next is retaining A players. Some key distinctions: your A players are assets to your company, and nothing will hurt more than losing a top producer. Again, unless they're a non-culture fit. All right, if they're toxic, I've seen scenarios, and it's rare, it's not common, but you have a top A player, but he's or she is toxic and negative to the rest of the team. The rest of the team doesn't perform. That person performs well. Get rid of that person. No A player is worth that. But aside from that, it is far easier to retain A player, retain an A player than to replace them. So for anyone who's ever done any sort of recruiting, hiring, interviewing before, you know how hard and annoying it is to actually bring on A players. You'll eventually find them, right? If you have a solid brand, you have a solid offer, you have solid lead flow, solid marketing, everything is dialed in, fulfillment's good. A players love these type of offers because there's not too many of them out there. But the pain you've got to go through to find them is just not worth it. It's just better to retain them. And don't think just because they're making a lot of money that they'll keep selling for you. Remember the vision, right? Inspiration. They have to be bought into the vision as well as you. They have to be bought into you as well. They have to see themselves growing with you and your company and where they see themselves in your company. If it's just as another sales rep in the next 5 years, they're not going to want to stay, right? Also, don't think that because they're selling well and they don't need attention, you can just leave them be. Instead, invest even more in your best guys, whether that be more time from yourself, more sales training, more whatever. Just invest more. All right. Hopefully, you guys got some sauce out of this. Whether you run a business or a sales agency, use this to improve your sales team's close rate without additional sales training. These are a few things that have worked very well for me over the past 4 years now. Um, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.